All right. This is Josh Flora from the Adjuster Academy, San Antonio. We are going to scope a wind hail loss on a house here in San Antonio, Texas. We are doing our truck to truck techniques, and part of that is going to be the initial step is parking. So as we pull up to the house, and we're coming up to the house now, what we want to be aware of is cars that are parked on the street. We want to be aware of mailboxes and driveways. Any trash cans that are laying out in the road. We don't want to get parked in front of these, so that way the policyholder gets into a situation where their trash doesn't get picked up because of us. We don't want to park in front of the mailbox because the mailman might come and they miss out on an important document or a check. So I'm parking with enough space to spare in between mailboxes in front of the policyholder's house, so that way we're safe and we're being conscientious of their concerns. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get out of the vehicle. We're going to get ready for handling the claims. All right, now we parked our vehicle and we need to get dressed. We need to get ready for claim handling. So I'm going to get my equipment. I'm going to get my camera, my tool belt, to including my clipboard, any of my homework that I did last night, which we've already discussed in class. At that point, I'm going to get dressed and I'm going to start by taking my risk photo, which is an overview of the house. This particular house, we look at the roof, it is a fairly steep pitch, so I've gone ahead and I've prepared and I've worn my roof climbing shoes. These are called cougar paws. They have a special bottom on the end on the sole of them that keeps you a little bit more secure to that roof surface. So at this point I'm going to get dressed and I'll meet you up on the roof. Okay, we're about to get on this roof, and a couple important tools that I used when I'm doing a roof inspection is, first and foremost, gloves. A nice sturdy glove is going to keep your hands from getting damaged. This is a rough, gritty surface. You can hurt your fingers, rub them raw, so we're going to protect them with gloves. The next thing that I bring with me is my tool belt. In my tool belt, I carry items such as a 100-foot tape measure, my pitch gauge. I carry something to draw on the roof to determine damage with. This right here is soapstone. Some people use children's sidewalk chalk or even lumber crayons. Me, I prefer this because it's nice clean. I don't get any residue all over me for the rest of the day. Additionally, in my tool belt, I have a clipboard and the homework that I did last night that we've talked about in class about being prepared for the claim. I've got this ready to go, and now I'm getting ready to get on this roof. So as I get close to the roof, I'm going to make sure my ladder is in proper position. It's in a safe position for me. The base is put securely on the ground, and it's within arm's reach, standing on the down at the bottom. So this ladder is ready for me to go. It's secure, and I'm going to go ahead and climb up. Alright, as we get to the roof surface, a couple things we want to check before we get on. We want to check here at our drip edge line underneath the shingles to see if there's any drip edge. Normally we would see a metal drip edge here if it's installed. It's easy to notice, it's hard to miss. I'm also going to stick my fingers underneath the shingles and lift them up just enough to see if there's a second layer, if there's any wood shakes or anything underneath these that I need to be aware of. This roof right here, we know does not have any drip edge, and it's one layer because there's no shingles found below. At this point, I'm going to move a little bit further up my ladder. I'm going to get my clipboard and I'm going to set it directly on the roof surface. And when I do this, I'm going to span 3 courses of shingles. I'm going to do this because I want to create a flat surface, and I'm going to check the pitch of this roof. When I set my clipboard on this slope, it's going to tell me what this pitch is. Now, since I obviously can't be standing over there and seeing what my pitch is, what I will do is I'll set my clipboard on one side of my ladder, set my pitch gauge, and then I'll grab my camera. With my camera, I'll turn it on and set it flat with the roof surface and take a photo. Give it a chance to take the picture. Take the picture, and now on the back of my digital camera, I should be able to tell what that pitch is. And all without having to fall off my ladder to find it. Alright, we climbed up this roof. one of the things we want to make sure is, because this roof is an 8/12 pitch, it's a little bit steeper, so we've got our safety of our boots on, but we want to make sure that we be careful while we're walking on the roof. This roof, like I said, is steep, so we want to make preparations to walk at angles to keep us on the roof safely. Walk straight up and down the slope sometimes can be a little treacherous, so we want to be careful. Now, with our homework that we did last night, we're going to measure the roof and put those measurements on our notes here. After that, we're going to walk around the roof and we're going to do some test squares. We're going to find damage or not find damage depending on what this roof is going to hold for us. This being a wind and hail claim, we're going to be looking for either impacts from hail damage or missing tabs from shingles.
Okay.
When we look for hail damage, some of the things that we look for are soft metals. Soft metals such as turbines or flashings around at the bottoms of the turbines, they're going to indicate any kind of size of hail that we may have gotten on the storm. Indentations, dings, they're great ways to find out what size that hail was. We look for spatter. Spatter is going to remove oxidation from the paint and show us, hey, this is quarter size hail, this is pea size hail, or holy cow, it's softball size hail. As we move around the roof, we're seeing less and less of this soft metal damage, which is going to get damaged first. So it's giving us a less indication that there may be some hail damage to the shingles. I'm also looking at the fascia, the board here on the side. The fascia here doesn't show any indication or hail spatter where it's been hit. The paint looks relatively new. Talking with the policyholder, that paint is only about 2 years old, and so we're still in good shape up here. When trying to determine the age of the shingle, the policyholder also told us it's about 8 years old. I can tell from the texture, the walking around on it, the look of it, the shingles are in good shape. It is a 3-tab, 25-year composition shingle. The granules are intact. They're nice and smooth. There's no impacts. We're not seeing any bleeding or fade off of those shingles for those granules. Again, up top, I'm looking on the gable end here. Not seeing any drip edge still. I don't believe there's going to be any on this house. And we're going to continue to look at other options. During our inspection of the roof, we noticed something here. On the back side of this house, there's actually 2 different pitches on this roof. One pitch for this particular slope and one pitch for this particular slope. When you find that, you need to make sure you document that in your drawing. You document that on your scope notes. We want to make sure that whatever we're looking at up here is represented when we build our sketch in Xactimate. All right. We got some dogs barking at us. Yeah, it's one of the fun things you get to have as an adjuster, is dogs talking to you all day long. But you got to keep moving on. So in this inspection, again, still looking at that soft metal, we look at the pipe jack flashing, these lead pipe boots right here, to see if there's, again, any spatter, any water marks, ice marks that hit this from hail. We look at the fact that it's not dinged, there's no paint chips, nothing like that to indicate there was any hail damage on this surface. This particular slope is the right-facing slope of the house. It's again below this is the first floor roof versus the second floor roof up here. Now when we're looking at writing our estimate, since this is what we call a walk-up, we're not going to be using 2-story on our estimate. We will be using steep to write the estimate for any damage that occur up here, but we will not be using 2-story because we can walk all the way up. On the very top of the roof, we need to make sure we get all our measurements. And when we're measuring the roof, we want to make sure we measure from the bottom course all the way up to the ridge line when we're dealing with the slope to get that rafter length. So when we're measuring, we're going to push our tape measure all the way down to the bottom of the slope and latch it, if we can, onto that bottom course. When we latch it on there, we're going to set it down on the ridge line up here on the top. At that, we're going to get our measurement right here. We got 10 foot, 10 inches. You got to pay attention to everything you see on a roof. Some of the things that we take for granted, like flashing around the side of the roof, or even valley metal. This roof right here, If we wouldn't have come down to this point and checked, we wouldn't have known that this valley has metal underneath it. Valley metal is used to extend the life of a valley component to let that water flow easily off the roof. Remember we talked about in classes being a gravity deterrent. That metal is going to allow that roof, the water to shed without actually causing damage to the decking below. What I'm doing now is I'm looking to make a test square on the back slope. We've looked all over the roof. We can't find any impacts due to shingle or hail damage. So I'm doing my test square here, which is a 10 by 10 area. You can see from the top I've already marked the corners of my test square. That's 10 foot wide right there. Now I'm going to mark my bottom brackets. In that test square, I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at each tab of every shingle and see if I can find any impacts. Now the impacts of hail damage, they are similar to our skin. If you get hit hard enough in the arm, you're going to bruise. These shingles, they get hit hard enough by a hailstone, they're going to bruise as well. And that's the bruising we're looking for. So I've measured out my top pieces here. I've come down 10 foot and I'm doing the last mark right here to bracket off my test square. Now in this test square, I'm going to look at each tab on every shingle and see if I can find bruising. I've done my inspection of the test square and I haven't found any hail damage anywhere. So I've gone ahead and I've marked this slope in my test square B equals 0. That B equals 0 means back equals 0. This roof, I've done 3 other test squares, one on the front, one on the left, one on the right, and I haven't found any damage. So I'm going to go ahead and say this roof's in good shape and I'm going to pay no claim on this. So we've done with our roof inspection except one thing, the fireplace. We want to make sure we don't have any hail damage to either the soft metal of the chimney cap or the flue cap up top. We also want to check our flashing at the base of the fireplace here. Any of that can tell us whether or not we've got some damage we need to address. In this situation, I got a busted, rusty old fireplace cap, but I don't have any damage to the chimney due to hail. So on this roof, we've done a thorough inspection. We've looked at all the items of the roof, all particular slopes. We've measured it, we've mapped it. At this point, we don't have any damage, so we're going to be able to tell the policyholder, congratulations, you don't have to pay for a new roof today.